you think too many young people are claiming sickness benefits? Get your calls in now. Let me know your thoughts. Chancellor Rachel Reeves yesterday expressed her shock about the number of young people who are not in work, education or training during an interview with BBC's Laura Kuenssberg. Take a look.
The big increase in the benefits bill is from more and more young people claiming sickness and disability benefits. I don't believe that there are 1 in 8 young people in Britain today who actually can't work. We've got to help them get the training and the support to get back into work, not writing them off for a lifetime of eking out an existence.
Now, the number of 16 to 34-year-olds out of work with a mental health condition has risen by more than a quarter in the last year, reaching a total of 270,000 people. Now, 66,000 18 to 21-year-olds currently claim incapacity benefit, but the government wants to deny access to people in that age group. Tim, do we have too many people claiming incapacity and PIP benefits as well?
It's not often, as I always agree with the Labour Chancellor, but I do on this occasion. And look, I had mental health problems myself during the pandemic. I understand how hard it is to go from where I was to employment. And so I have a lot of sympathy for the young people who are on the benefits and who may feel unable to work. But if you compare us to like the rest of Europe, you compare Britain to America or other, we've got many more people on benefits at this age than other countries. Now, is it because Britain's uniquely sick? I don't believe that. I think we have various incentives in the benefit system and a lack of real willingness to challenge these young people, to help these young people into work. So I think we can't afford, as a country, to maintain these number of people on sickness benefits, and we can't afford for the young people themselves to almost decommission them, to park them on the sort of margins of society rather than integrate them into the world of work.
Nelufar?
That sounds lovely, and I wish it were true. I wish it were all possible. I wish there was a job for every young person to walk into. There isn't. I wish there wasn't a cost of living crisis that was keeping them living in near poverty conditions. There is. I wish there was an AI and unscrupulous bosses who are constantly using zero-hour contract as a means to stop giving them a livable wage. There are. The conditions that young people are facing today and are being forced to seek employment under are much harsher than they were previously. Yes, it is absolutely true that we have gotten better at detecting illnesses and mental health conditions and learning disabilities. And so is it that more people are eligible, or just we're better at designating and giving people the benefits and the PIP, the incapacity benefits that they are due?
Oh, it's two separate things, the incapacity benefits and the PIP payments.
But the underlying causes, though, Alexis, are the same.
Sure.
It's the fact that we currently have a group of young people who, for the first time in living memory, are going to inherit an economy, a set of opportunities less than their parents. So with all of that being true, it's easy to victim blame, Tim.
And
it's
also to give excuses. Too easy to say, it's OK, stay there, we'll continue to pay the bill. You know, the easiest thing to do in society is to pay people money and think that we have done right by them, give them benefits. The hardest thing is to say, we want you to stand on your own 2 feet, but we will help you stand on your own. You're not on your own, we're going to help you maximise your potential. Writing people off, that's the thing that's the sad thing.
Simply put, in 50 years ago, 70 years ago, a person could go and become a postman, buy a house, allow their partner to stay at home and raise kids, inherit a great pension and live the rest of their lives. Can a postman do that today? Absolutely not.
Yeah, but you're talking about irrelevant things. This isn't relevant to the point, and you're giving people excuses.
Work itself, you're saying that in order for work to be something that's plausible, for young people to forego any needs that they might have, to go into employment, that work has to pay. And nowadays, work is paying less and less.
OK.
It still pays something. It still pays something.
Do you think, Nelufar, that part of the problem... I was speaking to Suzanne O'Sullivan. She's written a book at the moment that's called The Age of Diagnosis. She's a neurologist herself, has worked in the system, knows what she's talking about. And she feels that perhaps we're living in an age of overdiagnosis. Yeah. And she asked the question that although it can be helpful for people to know, to put a... I don't want to use the word label specifically, but to put a mental health condition to what they're feeling, that might help them. But actually, she's asking the question as a practitioner of medicine herself, saying, how is that helping someone? Because if you're just giving someone a diagnosis, but you're not giving them something that they can help themselves with through that diagnosis, is that diagnosis helpful? And is that where we're at now?
It's no surprise to me that 14 years of Conservative government and now this Labour government are looking at this problem and both realising that the benefit system is broken. That is no surprise to me. And it is true that perhaps we are not getting the right people into work. Because at the end of the day, one thing that we can all agree on is having a job gives us a sense of worth. It gives us purpose. It gives us meaning. And
it's socialisation as well. It's a big way we meet other people.
However, if young people more and more are being diagnosed with these mental health conditions, perhaps it's because we live in a world where bullying starts at the age of 8 in your pocket, where you go into school and you might face a difficult time, and then you go home for the next 5 years in secondary school and you're being bullied online. Have we ever actually accounted for that?
Well, we'll touch on that, I suppose, later on when we're going to talk about those outside influences. Tim, is there a point that we are missing in the sense that we are suffering from understaffing when it comes to professionals who can diagnose mental health conditions? The reason that quite a lot of people rush to getting a diagnosis is because they want to find some help. Now, if they were finding that help elsewhere, in the community, then they wouldn't rush to get that diagnosis. And then that diagnosis leads to that claim of incapacity benefit of PIP payments. Is the problem deeper? Is the problem that we've had a huge underfunding of our health services, particularly when it comes to mental health?
Well, the problem is even bigger than that, I would say, really.
Right.
I mustn't talk too much about my own journey, but I was helped an awful lot by friends and family and my employer. They understood me, and I had good days and bad days, and I went backwards sometimes. My journey from being dependent to where I am now wasn't linear. I have ups and downs. And I had a lot of support through that. I didn't involve the state because, unfortunately, I had other... But the state couldn't have really done what I had, the support around me. It is under-resourced, as you say. So one of the things that worries me about what the government is talking about at the moment is it's actually quite expensive to move people from dependency to work, because the process is hard work. And so actually in the short run, it probably costs you more to look after someone and make them stand on their own 2 feet than to keep them on benefits.
OK, so, just very briefly,
It is surprising to me that in all of this, we haven't actually talked about the responsibility of the employer to make it easier to go back to work.
OK,
yeah.
All right, well, perhaps we'll touch on that. Let's speak to Nicole, who's got in touch from Essex. Nicole, good morning. What would you like to say, Nicole?
Yes, for for young people who are claiming PIP, PIPs for people who need additional equipment to help them get back to work. But the problem with young people is they don't realise the benefits of going to work. It gives you structure, it gives you backbone to your life. So you maybe have mental health problems, but when I've had problems when I was young, I used to go to work and it gave me structure, it gave me backbone to my life. It gave me, for those few hours at work, or I worked quite long hours, I had to behave. I had to adhere to a structure. It gave me a reason to get up in the morning. It gave me financial independence. It meant that I could go on holiday, go do trips. But also with these children of PIP, it's like the employment benefit. You have to say you're actively seeking a job. These young people should say, for mental health problems, they're actively seeking therapy and having a structure getting them into work. And it will give them the motivation. It'll inspire them to, sort themselves out and,
But Nicole, I see where you're getting to, but do you think specifically that do you feel that there's too many young people that are heading towards the benefits route? Are you concerned? You think so? But what do you make of what Nelufar's saying, that actually those people are not really receiving any help elsewhere from their employers, from society, and they've got nowhere to turn to?
No, but the thing is, though, if they went to work, if they were encouraged to go and seek therapy, to give them some of the structure to their life, to give them some kind of motivation, because sitting at home on benefits is very, very depressing.
OK.
Very boring.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for starting us off. Let's speak to James in Caerphilly. James, welcome to the show. Do you think too many younger people are choosing to go down the route of benefits, but what other choices do they have?
Yes, I certainly do. They're opting for the easy option. and I go along with what the doctor you quoted, who says that as well as prescribing whatever, a part of this prescription should be the work ethic, how to get back into work after treatment, not to expect never-ending payments courtesy of Mr. and Mrs. Taxpayer.
I know myself of many young people, James, that would be shocked that you think that they might be creaming the system, as it were. I tell you what, it is incredibly hard to make a living and to thrive under getting incapacity or PIP or disability allowance. They're not designed to make one feel enriched, okay? This is what you go on when you have nothing else, when you've got nowhere else to go. The question is where are these... James, imagine if somebody who did have a disability really wanted to work and they went into a workforce, they went into an office that isn't catered to their needs. It isn't like benefits is the only option available to them. Often, work environments are hostile towards disabled people coming in, and they're not willing to make the adjustments necessary.
So the employer's
that's a huge part of this
doing more. James, what do you make of that? That actually it's a multifaceted problem. Do you at least agree with that?
Yes, I do. But what we must seek out are, and it has to be said, over 50% who realise that they can bypass certain investigations, shall we say, and claim benefits for the rest of time. By the way, your panellist is quite wrong. I have got an insight into the system. I've sat on the tribunal service for 15 years, and I realise who is a qualifier and who is attempting to usurp the system. So there are swings and roundabouts. I appreciate that, but the majority seem to think, that's what I'm getting at, that it's their right. It isn't. If you don't contribute to a pot, please don't expect to be able to take out of it.
OK, James, thank you for your call. Great to have your insight, having been part of the tribunals. Michelle in Tyne, and where Michelle, good morning. Michelle, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think we have too many young people who, as James was suggesting, feel that perhaps it's an easier way to go down the benefits route, although we should say that most of those people actually do want to go to work?
Hello to you and your panel. I'm someone who has multiple mental health issues. I'm bipolar. I'm currently going through a bipolar high as we speak. I'm autistic and I also have ADHD. Now, the thing is, with younger people, these conditions, you've got to remember that the human brain isn't fully developed till the age of 25. My condition started to present when I was in my teens. Wow. I went through hell right up into my 30s when I was diagnosed. These are the ages, the young people, where those diagnoses are going to come through. And if you don't engage, as what happened to me, I ended up homeless, I was eating out of bins, I lost my home, because there's no support. Because if you speak a certain way or you act a certain way, it's very difficult to get the help that you need.
Michelle, could you have benefited from an earlier diagnosis?
Oh, yes, I could. My bipolar wasn't diagnosed until I was 30. And I still didn't have interaction with the mental health team and everything like that. And I was put on drugs that I shouldn't have been put on. Like I said, I lost my home. I became homeless. I've had more jobs than probably your entire panel put together because I tried to work in all sorts of industries until the conditions that I have got so bad that I basically, I've tried to kill myself 13 times in my lifetime, and I've self-harm, and the support isn't there. So I think to penalise young people who may be going through the things I went through is not right, because it's amazing I'm still alive, to be frank.
Well, Michelle, look, I'm glad you're with us. I'm horrified that you've had to go through what you've gone through. I'm very glad that you called us today.
Thank you so much.
Sorry to have run out of time, but it's really good to hear from you, and I hope we speak again.